Do you see if there's like a something that says it's recording in the?
Yeah, it says it in the upper left.
Okay, perfect. Oops. Oops.
Hey, Maggie,
Yeah.
did you grab the envelope with the checks and the minutes and stuff in it off my desk?
Yep.
Okay. Are both you and Mike there tonight?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Who else is in chambers?
Mike. Just Mike. And I'm in my office.
Ready for the public hearing?
Yep. Yep.
I can only see like a little part of my head.
I don't see anybody else.
Hey, Joel.
Hi, Kyle.
Starting to feel like I'm on Romper Room again. I can only see like 6 screens.
Is there like a button up on the top that makes it?
You might have to just scroll through them. There's like a whole bunch of little squares at the top of the video thing.
Yeah, that's what I have. Now all I have is just Don. Nice car, Donnie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a nice car.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah, whoever is talking kind of pops up. There's Judge.
Person, yeah.
Wonder if I can make this bigger. Yes. All right.
Okay, we have 6:31, so we'll call the meeting to order. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. So with that, then, I will look, do we have any additions to the agenda? And if not, I will, just one quick housekeeping note. What we're gonna do, just because of the delay we have when we vote, we'll do a roll call vote. So I'll go through and ask each council member individually their vote, either aye or nay, just for it makes it easier for Janelle to record it. So with that, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll make
We have a motion from McPadden. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second from McNeely. So we'll go vote. Boder,
aye.
aye or nay? Stephen McPadden,
Aye.
McNeely,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
and Dodge is an aye. Motion carries 5-0. That will take us to public comments. If there's anyone who would like to discuss anything not on the agenda, please state your name and address for the record. Hearing none, we'll close public comments, move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for further discussion? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll
I have a
second.
motion from Stephen McPadden, a second from McNeely.
Liz.
Liz,
Oh, from Liz, thank you. And with that, then for the vote, Boder,
Aye.
Stephen McPadden,
Aye.
McNeely,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
and Dodge is an aye. Motion carries 5-0. That will take us to the public hearing. We will open the public hearing for Mayor Lutheran High issuance and sale of an educational facilities revenue refunding note, resolution 11.23.20.52.
All right, Mayor and Council, in your packet this evening is a resolution that's 11.23.20.52. Looking for that approval for the issuance and sale of an educational facilities revenue refunding note. A little background. In 2017, Mayor Lutheran High School started began the construction of a 43,000 square foot addition to their school facility that included a field house, common area, offices, and a new entrance. In 2020, as interest rates are at an all-time low, Mayor Lutheran High School is looking to refinance their loan for the addition. Mayor Lutheran High School has requested that the City of Mayor consider acting as an issuer of the, or approve being the issuer of a 501c3 revenue note in the amount of $3,200,000. This amount will be loaned to Mayor Lutheran High School to refinance the project noted. So as you know from the previous meeting, Taft has been acting as the bond counsel for the issuance of the note. They represent both the city and they've been working with Mayor Lutheran High School as well. The note will be purchased by a local bank, Security Bank and Trust. So I know we went through a lot of this before, where the bank would be the lender, the city would essentially work as the conduit, and we would approve the resolution that would allow the city administrator and mayor to sign the documents that would support moving forward with this. So as you know, the note will be structured as bank qualified bonds, which each city is limited to issue in a year. So I know we've reviewed this as well. We can issue up to 10 million in a calendar year for our own use. So we have issued approximately 1,115,000 bank qualified bonds in 2020. That was for our water projects and our fire department equipment bond. And we're also working on our fire station, which we're accepting bids at this time. But even if issued in 2020, it would still put us under that 10 million. So we would still be able to, we would be okay regardless. One consideration that Mayor Lutheran High School is asking the City of Mayor to do this evening is waive the $25,000 administrative fee. We have done this act as a conduit before in the past to two other organizations. One was Groves Academy in St. Louis Park and Shepherd's Path Senior Housing Project in Prior Lake. And we have charged that fee in the past. Those were outside, obviously outside entities. So that's something we're going to be discussing this evening. Beyond the fee, Mayor Lutheran High School has been responsible for paying all other fees related to the transaction, also including the work of the bond counsel. So following the public hearing, again, the city council will consider the resolution that would approve the issuance. And then after the adoption and application, if approved, would be submitted to the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and then DEED would decide approval at that point. And then the closing would be expected to be done in December. So with that, I am open for any questions. I know Joel Lansgroner from Mayor Lutheran High School is on as well. But at this time, accepting any public comment.
Have we ever waived the fee before?
As far as I know, this is our third issuance. And so at this, this is our third request, and we have not waived the 25,000 in the past, so.
I'm not sure the fee was ever that high, though, was it? I can't remember. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I talked to our bond counsel, and they were the ones that told me what we had charged, so.
So that
Maybe.
it falls in line with what we were charging the other entities.
Yes.
Is it based off a percentage then of how much they're asking? Or is it just,
It's just a flat fee.
Oh,
All right, does anyone have any public comments they'd like to make?
Could I just speak to that, that fee, if that's all right, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Okay, great thing. You know, just the difference between the other two entities is we are in Mare, Minnesota, the city of Mare. 25,000 is a lot of money. It's an awful lot of money for a nonprofit. We provide to the city in excess of that through the years in benefits between, you know, the property taxes that our workers pay, many of who live and move to Mare to work at Mare Lutheran High School. I just, you know, look at that, look at the asset that the high school is to the community. And I think that, you know, again, it is a lot of money. We are picking up all the costs of everything from the bond counsel to any of the other counsel that comes involved with this loan. And again, we're like every other nonprofit, especially right now dealing with the COVID things. That's a lot of money that would be a great blessing if we could have that waived for a local nonprofit business. We put about $3 million a year into the local economy. That's what our budget is. And so we differ from the other two. I gotta make that point really clear. They're from outside the area, but we're right here, right, you know, right when you come into town. So that would be our request. And again, it's a lot of money. We understand coming in that could be, but we also understood that it could be negotiable and possibly waived as well. That's what we would ask respectfully.
Perfect, thank you. All right, any other comments? And Maggie, have we received any by email or phone?
We have not.
Okay.
Hey,
And
I
for the
just have
record,
one-
there,
I have one
go
question.
ahead.
Maggie, how much time or how much resources have we had to put into it? Like any of your hours or time to do this? Is it a lot of work, or is it pretty minimal?
Honestly, it's been very minimal for me. Most of the work is done by the bond counsel at Taft, and that is already being paid for by Mare Lutheran High School.
I had the same question.
Good question. Yeah.
Okay. And for the record, there is no one at City Hall to make comments. So one more chance if anyone would like to speak. And with that, we will close the public hearing then. And we'll open up for discussion or a motion on resolution 11.23.20.52.
So I guess I kind of agree with Joel that they are a benefit to the community. I think the tax dollars are stretching it since the entity itself does not pay taxes, and that hurts a lot, but they always open their doors to the community. I guess I'm not in favor of getting rid of all of it, but 25,000 to me is high for this, since we don't have a risk, but we do have time in it, and you know, it's worth something, I believe, to the city, but I'm willing to say, let's reduce it, maybe drastically, but not get rid of it altogether. That's where I'm at.
Joel, do you have an idea what's the savings over the over this loan by doing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're saving about at this point about 1% over what we're currently paying to a Lutheran Church Extension Fund. And so over the next 10 years, ours will be about 1% less. I didn't run the calculator on what that would be, over the next 10 years, but it's going to be fairly significant.
Fairly significant, right? Where you would easily make up that 25 grand.
Yes, yeah, we could do that, but at the same time, that would be wrapped into the loan, which is essentially taking $25,000 of,
More.
from the school for, I can't really understand or justify what we're getting in return for that.
Yeah. I completely understand what Joel's saying and the benefits of having Mayor Lutheran in town, but for me, that's our fee. I think we should charge it. We have for other entities. Like I said, I completely agree that it's a benefit. We could then get into every resident is a benefit to our community, and should we waive every fee, a deck fee or, anything, I just think it's revenue the city should be taking in, and it benefits our residents, and it's there for a reason.
I think we should, I would like to reduce the fee. I'm kind of where Tice is, either no fee or very minimal fee, just for Maggie's time to do it, just because they are a entity within the city limits. I think the other entities, I completely agree with the 25,000 because they aren't part of our community and weren't really near our community either. So I feel that Mayor Lutheran provides a lot of benefits to our residents, and they are a nonprofit. So I'm kind of on board with a very minimal fee just to cover Maggie's administrative costs in processing it. I don't know what that value would be.
With that being said, Nikki, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to make a motion, and I guess I could throw out that we would, I don't know how to say, like we would let them use our bond issuance and then charge $1,000 administrative fee.
Okay, we have a motion to issue the sale education facilities revenue refunding note resolution 11.23.20.52 with a $1,000 fee. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Motion dies with the lack of a second. Would someone else like to make a motion?
Can we have a
Maggie,
discussion about what we
take your
think
time.
reduction
Cover.
there?
What'd you say?
Me?
Did
yeah,
somebody say
who-
something?
So can we
What
have kind of a discussion
time?
on what we think a fair reduction of the rate is? Because I was more around the cutting it in half or 10,000 area. That's what
All right.
in my mind, but I don't know.
I just want
Okay,
to
like-
say one thing. So the usually our fees are established to cover costs of staff time and stuff like that. So with that, I just want to make you aware that a lot of our fees that we charge are to cover costs to the city so that the taxpayers aren't paying for like for these things. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this like the 25,000 that we're charging it would be almost just straight revenue. What I'm saying, because, and I get what you're saying, like covering my costs in this. I don't have an actual number as to what that would be, but I guess I'm just trying to shed light on that. This is something. This whole project has been something that has been taken care of mostly outside of our office. But yeah, so if you have any additional questions, let me know. I don't know if I made any sense, but it would essentially just be unplanned straight revenue that we would be getting out of this.
All right, Tice, would you like to make a motion, Tice?
I guess I don't know what are you asking for a motion to approve the resolution with a certain amount of a fee?
Correct.
I mean, I just struggle with what Maggie's saying, that if I don't want to take $25,000 from an organization that's a nonprofit, that's a positive to the community, knowing that it's not costing us a lot. And I guess I don't recall when we passed the other ones. I was on the council, so I don't remember the 25,000 fee. I don't know if that was a discussion point. I just feel strongly that I don't want to make this a profit thing. I mean, if it's not costing us hardly anything, why are we charging a fee that?
We also have a project coming up that the taxpayers are going to have to foot the bill for on the street repair. So maybe kind of evens out just a little bit. So I'm going to make a motion to accept the resolution. I forget the number because I can't quite find what page it's on right now. But
it's here, can you see my screen?
Oh, no, I can't. I've got mine covered.
Okay, it's
11.23.20.52.
11.23.20.52. I'll make that resolution to approve that with a $10,000 fee.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Does the city have any costs into this process right now?
Are you talking administratively?
Yeah, we paid out anything ourselves?
No, we haven't.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Like I said earlier, I disagree. I disagree with it. And again, I agree with everything, what everyone's saying about the value of Mayor Lutheran High. I just think it's a bad precedence to start waiving some of these things. Like I said, we could go into deck fees and everything of what's not costing us. That's our fee that was set, and I feel we should stick with it. They do stand to save a lot of money on this reduction of interest rates at $3.2 million.
But this is also
Any
a
other
501c3 and not a homeowner.
Within the city of Mare.
Right.
So
I understand.
Yeah, and
I understand that.
even like, I can't, it's just comparing apples to oranges. You can't compare a fee for a deck is the same as a fee for a bond reissue. A homeowner can't come to us and be like, well, can you back our mortgage? I mean, no, I mean, this is only certain organizations can come and do this. And I don't even know where this 25,000 came from and who set that fee and why is it so high? I mean, this is an organization within our community that $25,000 is a huge expense to add on to this bond. And they came to us hoping to save money so that they continue to improve their property. And that's why if we don't have any, it does not costing us anything. I just don't understand. I mean, the city is not a profit center for this type of thing. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it sets precedence that, oh, well, you waive Mayor Lutheran's bond fee, so now I don't want to pay my deck permit. I just don't agree with that statement, but that's just where I'm at. And I'm just struggling even with $10,000. I was just like, $1,000 is a number, like probably covered what Maggie put into it, but I guess that's not appropriate. Not enough. So we can make money
That's
on
fair.
these deals.
That's fair. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. Boder,
Aye.
Stephen McPadden,
Aye.
McNeely,
Nay, only because I don't agree with the 10,000.
Butterfield,
Aye.
and Dodge is a nay. Motion carries 3-2. Thanks, Joel.
Well, thank you, guys. We appreciate the consideration. It says a lot about the city and about our relationship. So really, really grateful. Thank you.
You bet. Yep, thank you.
All right. Have a great evening, everybody.
You also.
Thank you.
All right, Maggie, let's go to 7-1A, COVID-19 preparedness plan.
All right, as you know, on May 26, 2020, we did pass a preparedness plan that was in conjunction or as a result of Executive Order 20-48 issued by Governor Walz on April 30th. So in April 2020, the city and mayor did make some adjustments to city services. We did close City Hall down temporarily. We provided services over phone, by email, or by appointment. Community center use and rentals were suspended, and staff and public works all remained working full-time, but with social distancing measures and staggering shifts. And then city council commission meetings were held temporarily via Zoom. And then we also took other measures, but increasing the cleaning in City Hall and the community center. Since June 1st, the city moved back into its the preparedness plan into phase 2. That allowed the community center and City Hall to reopen with precautionary measures. Again, with additional cleaning, wearing masks, and social distancing. And since then, meetings have been held in person with precautions taking place. But in the last few weeks, the city and mayor has been notified by Carver County, and then also that rates of COVID are increasing dramatically. And the state of Minnesota governor has also announced new executive orders to further prevent the spread of COVID-19. So with that, the city should be looking at what it can do as well to not only adhere to the orders, but prevent exposure to residents and staff. So therefore, staff is recommending the city council consider going back into phase 1 of the preparedness plan, which is attached. This includes all meetings going back to virtual, closing the community center and City Hall to the public. City Hall would still be appointment only. Staff would stagger being in the office. And so we would have a phone number on the door that similar to last time where people can call, and we would let them in as a appointment for essential services. Public Works would be in separate vehicles and wear masks if they have to be together. So with that, just open for discussion about going back into phase 1 of our preparedness plan.
All right, any questions from Maggie?
Was this specifically asked by the governor's office to move to this phase or back to this phase?
No, this is our specific city of mayor preparedness plan. And so this is our option to go back into this phase. I know community center right now, we have, just because of gathering restrictions, we have essentially stopped taking reservations, and a lot of people have already canceled. So we're just trying to kind of limit, again, the spread, not only, just doing our part to reduce spread and contact between staff and residents and staff, and just trying to assess the situation. We've just been notified just that we should be, by the county, that we should be taking precautions and doing what we can to reduce, make reductions. But and with that, we can also just do partial going back into phase one. But I do think for sure the community center needs to be closed probably until May of next year. Council and commission meetings should be held virtually. Continue having City Hall cleaned in high traffic areas, and I guess if there's
any high traffic areas.
Right.
Does anybody currently meet there now, like on a regular basis? We used to have some homeschoolers and.
Yeah, everybody has pretty much, homeschoolers do not meet. We've had people requesting to use the gym, and this has been just temporarily within the last couple weeks, but we've stopped even allowing the card players in, just any social gatherings, just because the recommended number has gone down so significantly for social gathering suggestions.
Why do you suggest?
Have any other cities in Carver County
What'd you
rolled
say?
back? Has any other cities in Carver County or the county doing the same as we are now, or you're proposing?
I think every city is kind of doing their own thing. So I know a lot of cities haven't even opened up as much. Like how we opened up again, and we allowed in-person meetings and the community center to reopen. Some cities haven't even allowed that since the executive order went in place. So we decided to try and open up a little bit more, but now I think just again, other cities chose not to. Every city is a little bit different, but some cities chose not to open up at all. A lot of staggering of shifts, a lot of working from home, just trying to kind of keep everybody social distance. But I would say it just depends on the city and what they feel comfortable with. And I think we've, again, are kind of an exception that we've stepped back and allowed things to open up again. But I do think maybe considering going back into phase one makes sense for the city of Mare. Especially keeping
shifts in phase one.
What'd you say?
Did you use staggered shifts in phase one?
Would we would. Just because the only reason why we didn't really do it in the when it first started, but I would say I guess I'm concerned about just losing one person. Like right now we are wearing masks in the office when there's more than one person in here. If we're by ourselves, we don't. But we're 4 people, and so if one of us gets sick, that's a big deal. And I don't even want to be out one person. And so if for some reason we can prevent that, I think that makes sense. I just don't want, obviously, I just think losing one person would be a disruption to our like being able to function. But
what would your staggered shift look like? I can't see that here.
Oh, I mean, we would still be working from home. We do have the capability now we did purchase computers with COVID money. So we can access our computers from home. So we would still be doing what we can from home. But we would do like every other day probably. So I would be, because I have to be in, and so does Janelle, we have to be in the office every,
Well, what
you know.
happens at the end of the day? Does the whole office get sanitized and sterilized somehow?
We have a cleaner that comes in twice a week. Usually, we just, I guess we haven't really crossed over, but yeah, we can, like, we have our own spaces, but we can probably wipe down, like the person that's in the office could probably do a wipe down of the high traffic areas.
If you're not wearing masks in the office?
No,
even
we
if you're
are.
there on different days, and if you're alone and not wearing a mask, you're still contaminating every place that you go to, technically. So it should be sterilized or sanitized somehow and wiped down when you leave at night. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't pay to take all these steps if when you're in there, you're not protecting the next person that's going in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know like how long. I'm not an expert on the virus and like how long it stays active on like a surface. I know in meetings, like we've definitely talked about the importance of washing our hands and using hand sanitizer on a regular basis. I mean, we could wear masks even when we're alone. I don't know, again, I don't know how long it would last on the surface if somebody left for the evening.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If not, I'll
Yeah,
look
yeah.
for a motion to,
Or
go ahead.
whatever you think is best for, the direction of the city. I just want to make sure that we are not going to be inhibiting, any business that needs to be done. Somebody needs to come in and get a building permit taken care of. If you're able to process those and make sure they get issued in a timely manner, and as with everything else that the city does, I
Yeah,
support you.
everything will still, there will always be somebody at City Hall. And we, just like last time, we'll have a number on the door that just says call and we'll let the person in right away. We're just trying to get more people to, not come in if they have, put their water bill in the box instead of coming in and dropping it off, or just lessen the traffic, I guess. But I mean, again, there will always be somebody here. I'm not too, I don't think it will impact our service to like businesses or residents.
Does anyone have it rented in between now and, I don't know, the next several months?
Do they have what?
Does anyone have it rented?
Everybody's canceled.
Okay.
So everybody who was on there, we've talked to.
And why did you go with May? Like, why did you pick May 3rd?
I guess we just picked a date and then we would reassess. We just picked a time in the spring and we would reassess and see what the executive orders or what's going on, where the numbers are at, maybe in January. That's just a number. I mean, a date. It's not strict or anything. It's just if somebody calls in, I guess I would rather err on telling somebody, like I hate to schedule something and then have to call them later and because especially with weddings, like those are, or big events, like a lot of people have to send out invitations, and so I guess I was erring on the side of just not having anything scheduled for 6 months and reassessing in January. And so when people call in, we just wouldn't have anything on the books, I guess. Just so if people call in, we just say we're not taking reservations at this time, and
Maybe just tell them call back in January when we reassess.
right.
Any other questions?
I like this.
I'll look for more.
staggered work. That's all I was gonna say, just because if Janelle gets it and Maggie was there, then Maggie also has to quarantine because of being in proximity too. So then you've got 2 people out. So that's another reason why I agree with. It's just the guidelines in that sense of we don't want both of them out.
It's just the 2 of them doing a split shift though, right? Both public works still have to be together.
Public Works will still be here. They'll be in separate vehicles. So they'll be, whenever they can do anything separate, they will be separate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll look for a motion to move back into phase 1
I'll make
of
that.
our preparedness plan. I'm sorry, who made them? Was that Nikki?
Yep. I'll make that motion.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. Boder,
Aye.
Stephen McPadden,
aye.
McNeely,
Aye.
Butterfield,
I,
and Dodge is an aye. Motion carries 5-0. That will move us to 7-2A snowplow replacement.
All right. Can everybody hear me all right?
I think, yep, go ahead, Kyle.
Perfect. All right. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, staff is proposing the purchase of a new 10-foot Fisher snowplow straight blade for the city's F-550 dump truck. Staff is recommending that we purchase the plow from Bob's Repair in the amount of $7,443. Bob's Repair is also willing to take the city's old, it's actually a 1989 F-150 as a trade-in for $400. It doesn't run at the moment, so keep that in mind as well. This would drop the overall price of the plow to $7,043. Normal retail price of this plow is $9,940. So with the state bid, it's about a 20 to 30% discount. Currently, the F-550 dump truck is outfitted with a 9-foot B blade, and it has significant wear and tear over the past 5 years of use. Parts of the frame need to be rewelded, and some of the frame and springs have been bent from plowing operations, from striking manholes, this and that, just normal operations, typical things that happen. The new 10-foot straight blade will be better suited to plow city streets because of its overall design. It is built stronger, it can be operated at higher speeds, and it also has a more aggressive attack angle, which will scrape the roads cleaner, resulting in less salt use. And also by having a straight blade versus a V blade, you don't have the center pivot point, so it won't float over as much, it'll dig into the snow a little bit better. Having a wider blade will also help with plowing along curb lines and will also keep the snow from rolling back underneath the truck. Given that the 550 is a dually, when the V blade is currently angled, it kind of snow rolls up against the bank and kind of rolls back underneath the truck. So having a little bit wider blade will help with that, and also getting going around mailboxes and that sort of thing won't be as close to the side mirrors. Staff is recommending that the old 9-foot B blade snowplow be mounted on the city's F-350. The plow will serve as a reliable backup for when the Mack dump truck and F-550 break down, and or F-550 breakdown. Hopefully they don't break down at the same time. That would be terrible. Staff will also use the plow for cul-de-sacs, parking lots, and miscellaneous cleanup after snow events. Both of these plows use the same mounts and controllers, making them versatile between both trucks, which will be very beneficial in case of a breakdown. So if the 10-foot blade were to go down, we wanted to use the 550, we could still hook up to the V blade and go with that, and vice versa. Once the city is able to move snow removal operations in-house, the Mack dump truck and F-550 are going to be the primary trucks that Public Works staff uses to remove snow from city streets. By having a better quality blade on the F-550, it'll make it snow removal process much more efficient. This is a budgeted item. We did budget 8,500. So it's about $1,000 on the budget and we have 11,644 remaining in roads capital outlay. So other purchases and projects we did this year have come in cheaper. So that's why we have a little bit more in that account. So yeah, I'll take any questions, concerns, comments.
When you say it's a budgeted item, we discussed it and it was on your CIP to buy the straight plow.
Just a plow. We kind of narrowed it down to a straight plow just from just overall use and what we're going to be using it for. We kind of decided on the straight plow, but snow plow itself was budgeted for
2020.
Correct.
Oh.
All right, any further questions?
Did you say that Bob's is honoring the state bid or is on the state bid?
Yeah, he can, they kind of work all together and yeah, this is a state bid item. Kind of like the Western. I also got a price on a Western and it was very comparable in price to the Fisher. So yes, it's all
All right.
state bid.
All right, I'll look for a motion to purchase a new plow blade from Bob's Repair for $7,443 and trade in the 1989 F-150 for the amount of $400 for a grand total of $7,043.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Voter,
Aye.
Stephen McPadden,
Aye.
McNeely,
Aye.
Butterfield,
I,
Dodge is an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, hopefully we get to use it.
No, not soon.
Right.
Yeah, not soon. Hopefully not soon.
All right. With that, we'll move to council reports. Eric, anything to report on?
I have nothing, thank you.
Tice,
No, planning commission's coming up to discuss that coffee shop, and I don't know when that is, Maggie, Tuesday? Next
It'll
week?
be December 1st.
There you go. That's it.
okay. Thank you. Nikki?
We had park board. We have a new park board member, so he was there and kind of just went over our long-term planning. And then I think we're gonna end up just doing a virtual tree lighting ceremony. December, I don't know, it was in the newsletter.
December 5th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was kind of exciting. So we'll still have our event. We just won't have it in person.
Thank you. Liz?
nothing. Thank you.
All right, and I have nothing to report. Maggie, do you want to give a quick update on the tree lighting and
Yeah, so
Santa Claus?
yep, so I've been speaking with the fire department. They usually do the pictures of Santa. This year, I think what's gonna happen, and we're just ironing out the details, they're gonna have Santa in a fire truck or a sleigh, and they're gonna go throughout town. And so what we're gonna do, I think, is create a map, and we're gonna post it on social media and on the website that shows what time they expect them to be in people's neighborhoods. And then, yep, so that's, I think, gonna start at 3. We'll put more information on social media. It'll be done around 5-ish, we think. And then the tree lighting will happen after that at 5:30. And I believe our plan right now is just to do, have the mayor and the chair of the park board be there to give a little message to the community, and then light the tree. Yep, so that's kind of where we're at right now, but more will follow on social media.
Great, thank you. All right, with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Boder,
Aye. Aye.
Stephen McFadden,
Aye.
McNeely,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
and Dodge is an aye. Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you. And then we can jump right into the workshop. So we'll call the workshop to order. Maggie, if you want to start us out with number 2 of the 2021 street project.
Yeah, I know Jeff from Bolton and Mink is here tonight, and then I see Dave Martini joined the meeting as well. So I might have him be available to answer any questions, but tonight we're talking about the draft feasibility study for the 2021 street projects. So as you know, council did approve having Bolton and Mink move forward with a draft feasibility study for the 21 street project. This includes the full reconstruction of 5th Street and 3rd Street. And so again, in your packet is the draft. It provides information about the overall scope of the project and the estimated costs. So let's see. So I don't know if Dave, if you want to do a little introduction, but a little bit about it is just again, full reconstruction. Decisions that we need to further consider is if we're going to be doing. Typically, we've done curb and gutter when we do full street reconstruction projects. We also do, in these scenarios, a shared cost. So we do special assessments with residents. So as you can see, we're estimating this project to be about a little over 1.5 million. The city would cover what we think right now, according to our policy, about 950,000, and then assess 609. Dave, I don't know if you want to provide, or Jeff or Dave want to provide any additional information on that part of it. But this is the formula that we've used in the past. We go off the frontage of the properties that line the streets. That's kind of how we come up with the assessment that they will be charged. I did provide some information about our last assessment that we did in 2007. The difference between these two projects is a little different in that we have significantly less properties, that the assessment cost will be split between that other project. Was a 10-year, was it I don't remember, Dave, was that a bond? Or was it just the city covered it? I know it was a 10-year assessment for property owners to pay it back, but anyways, so we're just, I guess, we just wanted to provide you with the overall scope of the project, give you some numbers, kind of what we were thinking assessments would come at. And then also, I think what we're going to have to discuss is kind of the, historically, yes, we've done curb and gutter, but we do have the ability to eliminate that, to reduce cost. But then also we do need to discuss what the city share versus assessments will be ultimately. Dave, did I miss any important points?
Yeah, well, so if it's all right, well, good evening, everyone. Yeah, you have the draft study in front of you here. Jeff Wyant is with us tonight. He did the kind of detailed work on putting this together. So if it's all right, I was going to have Jeff just kind of go through the scope of the project, kind of what's laid out in the study as far as what we are intending for improvements in this draft study. And then, just want to have a discussion about just making sure that the scope is consistent with what you have in mind and meets your needs. But I think we also have to have a discussion then on that cost apportionment piece. When you look at the assessments as they're laid out, they can be significant to the benefiting properties. The project area for this work is a little bit unusual just because of how the residential properties line up on it. With Fifth Street, you have Mayor Lutheran takes up a good share of the project area on the north side. Then you have the individual residential properties on the south. You have a lot of corner lots that have already been assessed for the previous project when we did the side streets. And then when you get over to Fifth and Third on the west side of Highway 25, again, pretty much everything's a corner lot. You have some city property mixed in there. So applying the city's assessment policy as written isn't quite comparing apples to apples with when you look at what we did on the last project. So if it's all right, I'll just have Jeff go through the report just to give you an overview, and then we can continue the discussion from there.
Great. Perfect. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Dave. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. So as Maggie mentioned, the project consists of reconstructing Third and Fifth. Currently, there's no water main under Third, but there is water main under Fifth. So replacing that water main would be part of the project. We'd reconstruct it, the street, replace the water main, and replace the water services. Fifth Street also has sanitary sewer, but that sanitary sewer main line was lined in 2018. So we would just propose to replace the sanitary sewer services on Fifth Street. As far as curb and gutter goes, we're looking at adding curb and gutter to the entire project area except for the property right in front of Mayor Lutheran. There's an existing drainage system in place that works, it functions. That's one of the items we want to discuss tonight. Is that okay not to put curb and gutter in front of Mayor Lutheran, or would you prefer to see curb and gutter in there and be consistent with the entire project area? Let's see, assessment policy. So what we did is we prepared the draft report based on how you've assessed projects in the past and in accordance with the current policy. And that policy states that you're going to assess 30% of the street improvement costs, street and storm sewer, to the benefiting properties, but you're going to assess 100% of new curb and gutter to the benefiting properties. So if they have curb and gutter going in front of their house, they get assessed for curb and gutter 100%. The water main is assessed at 30%. The water services going to each lot are assessed at 100%. And the sanitary sewer services going to each lot are assessed at 100%. So we just wanted to discuss curb and gutter limits, any other questions you might have, and then just initial thoughts on the numbers. If you want to look at different options of reducing these assessment numbers, or what your overall feeling is. I think that's about it.
Thank you. So are these numbers, do they include curb and gutter in front of Mayor Lutheran High, or do they not?
These numbers do not.
Okay.
So, yeah, so if you, on the assessment roll, so I can just do some quick math, but it'll add about 50 grand to the job. So Mayor has a front footage of 960 times $47 a foot. So that would be an additional 45,000. We would tack that on to Mayor Lutheran's assessment.
Okay, that would be 100% assessed
Yes.
according to your current policy.
So
Right.
you're saying the whole length that Mayor Lutheran has would not have a curb or a gutter. So the road, the residential side would have curb and gutter, and Mayor Lutheran's would not, because we have current drainage that works.
Yeah, that's correct. They have, and on their side of the road, they have a ditch. It's a maintained ditch. It's groomed. It functions well. So you don't necessarily need to have the curb and gutter on that side of the road.
It'd be more like for an aesthetic look.
Correct.
And then the curbing would start after the entrance where that, the residential starts again down to 25. I know you probably.
Yes. I'm just looking, I believe it's Birch Avenue. I believe we have the curb and gutter starting just after, on the west side of Birch.
No, Dave, that one property where we have that easement with Mayor Lutheran, that it's an empty lot now, would the curb and gutter go all the way to the end of
Yeah,
that?
so we would extend it all the way past that vacant lot. And if you recall, that was one of the, we've kind of had that ongoing discussion about what to do with the lot at the end of Fifth Street. Ultimately, where we ended up was that if we reconstructed this street, we would put in those improvements that we deem necessary and assess the property according to our policy. That obviously nothing's happened there yet, so I guess that could still be an open discussion, but that would be our intent, would be to assess that vacant lot just like everyone else based on the overall cost of the improvements.
So would we have then pavement to the end of that lot? And then would it
Correct.
be non-curb on the Mayor Lutheran side?
Right, yes, that is correct.
And then what does Mayor Lutheran, they would be assessed the 30% for the actual road part of it? Is that what they would be assessed if we did not do curb and gutter? Like what's their,
Right now, and how do you have that broken out, Jeff? Yeah, that they wouldn't have a curb assessment then.
So, yeah, so if they don't have a curb assessment, they would have 30% for the street, which right now is estimated at 101,000. They would also be assessed 30% for the water main, which is roughly $5,300. Water service assessment of roughly 3,000, and a sanitary sewer service of roughly 4,000, which brings you to a total estimated assessment of 114,000. That's not including any curb and gutter.
and is that where they get their main, is that where their sewer and water is on Fifth Street, servicing the school?
So I haven't 100% confirmed that yet. I'm pretty sure that's logically that's where it comes off of, but it's not 100% confirmed. Just like all these services that we have in the feasibility study, our survey crew just got done locating those services this week. So I do need to go back in now and check to make sure, but logically, these are the lots that should be serviced off of Fifth, but I do need to verify these numbers.
Yeah, the high school has a couple services going to it. I know one for their ball field and irrigation and going to the old part of the school. And then when they remodeled a while back, they have a 6-inch service going all the way to the school. And also they have one sewer service on that side, and then they just installed a new sewer service when the roundabout, shortly after the roundabout was put in on the north side. So there's a few areas it's being serviced, but I can definitely help Jeff out with making sure we know where they're all going. So
and I'll add too, the services are assessed 100%. So if we got out in the field and somebody, oh, we don't have to assess these people for this service. Well, the entire project cost would go down by the amount of, we wouldn't be doing the work. So we'd say save $4,000 because we're not doing the work, and then we just want to assess it. So it really won't affect anybody else on the job, if you follow me.
Okay, so, and then my next question would be for a normal homeowner. I got to be 2007 assessment on Ridge Road, so that's what I have to compare in my head. So each homeowner would be approximately 150 a square foot for the curb and gutter for whatever amount of street footage they have. And then they would be 5,200 for the water main, 3,900 for the sewer, and 3,000 for the water service. Is that how I read it?
Yeah, it was $49 a foot for
Okay.
curb and gutter.
Oh, 49, and then the 106 is the actual road surface, right? I'm just trying to
And
talk in.
yes,
These are just quotes. I'm not saying this is what it would finally be. I'm just trying to understand to make sure that if I add up everything, what's the base without knowing the square footage of a home. Oh, you have them all right there. Oh, see, I should just put the grid, sorry. That was my only questions.
Yeah, so you can see there, you know, that the average assessment is, you know, probably around 24,000, some approaching or exceeding 30,000. And then the school property obviously being, you know, significant there when you add up their frontage.
Right. Well, I know there was some discussion earlier, Maggie brought up, you know, do we even have to do curb and gutter throughout this project? And for me, I think we should. I think that's a must to keep everything the same over on the east side there. From a consistency now in front of Mayor Lutheran, if curb and gutter, I'm open to discussing that, and we could even have Mayor Lutheran High weigh in on some of that too, get their thoughts on it. I do want to get some further information on when we were saying that some of these properties have already been assessed based on being corner lots. So some of them hit, I'd like to get some of those numbers together. I am concerned with some of these assessments. You know, obviously can't compare it to 07, prices have gone up. I get all that, but average in 07 was about 13,000 per home. And these are averaging more about 25,000. You know, and they're getting nothing more than what was reconstructed on all the other roads too. So I am concerned with some of these numbers. But the project needs to go on,
if you look at this,
too.
it just the way the project area lays out and just the frontage you have to deal with here, just if you picture the west side project that we did in 2007, you know, it's a pretty a relatively more dense area, you know. So when you take a look at all the frontage that we had to spread those costs to, it just ended up being a little bit more efficient than what we have here. When you look at 3rd Street, 5th Street on the west side, you know, it's just the long side of corner lots that front a state highway and a county road. And it just doesn't lend itself real well to necessarily just follow the assessment policy as written.
Right.
The one question I would have is, and I don't believe I have this information, but when you took a look at how you're going to finance the streets, what was accounted for the reconstruction portion that we're looking at this year. I don't believe it accounted for assessments when they did the when they ran their numbers, but Maggie, I don't know if you know anything different about that.
I don't know offhand. I can get that information out to everybody though.
Yeah,
I think that would
makes
just
it
give you a
difficult 'cause-
sense of how you, when you originally tried to figure out how to pay for this, what you were accounting for.
Yeah, I can.
You know, I know it's a full reconstruction, but, you know, could we, you know, and we pay 100% of that when we did the mill and overlay. Is that what you're talking about, Dave? Is possibly not pushing that percentage to the homeowners?
Well, I guess not necessarily that directly, but yeah, is there, given the layout of this, would you want to consider whether or not the city portion of the assessment be a higher percentage?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's not fair for those homeowners because they have there's less lots that can take over the majority of that project, causing it to cost so much more money than previous projects per homeowner. Because I mean, a lot of that's double of even what I paid back in 2007. So I'm nervous that this could hurt a lot of people.
And then if you look at the corner lots again, on the east side of the road, they were assessed for, Maggie, could you go to the map of the 5th Street? Or maybe even if you go down, there's a map showing all of the properties that are being assessed right there. You know, if you look at, right there, yep. You know, 404, 320, 300, 220, they were assessed for Dogwood Avenue, Cedar Avenue, the people that they're at the corner of Birch Avenue. If you go down to Highway 25, 301, 255 there on 3rd Street, they were assessed for a portion of the Highway 25 reconstruction. And then if you go over to 5th Street also, 421 would have been assessed for the portion of the Highway 25 project also. So, you know, again, all following the policy, but it's just something to be aware of, that they have participated in past project costs.
Yeah, I'd like to see those numbers.
Yeah, and I think this street and this project is really unique. A unique area within the city that doesn't, we don't have a lot of other areas similar to this besides, I think, the downtown area that doesn't have as many homes to cover the cost.
Right. I tend to agree with Nikki that I think we need to look at that. That seems to be a lot, and they shouldn't be, for the lack of a better term, they shouldn't be punished with this much of it, you know, because we didn't do this project back in 07 when we did the other stuff and we split it off. So now and punished is the wrong word, but
just a little update.
I'd like to look at it.
Okay. Sorry. Just a little update. Yeah, Dave. So the long-term plan budgeted only the city's portion, which was about 800,000.
Okay.
It just didn't include any accessible part. So, so it's just accounting for the part the city would pay for it as far as the street.
Mm-hmm.
And one other question before I forget, on 3rd Street, and that's 3rd is the one that goes by Snap Fitness, correct?
Yep.
At one point, we talked about putting in parking over there by the park. That's still something we want to do. And would this now be the time to do it?
Yep.
We thought about putting some in right up into the park, cutting out those trees. Is that still something we want to look at?
We talked about doing it when we fixed the road.
Right. I don't know. I think we should have those conversations, or have the park board talk about if they want parking there for that park, or just additional downtown parking.
Yeah, I can bring it to park board on December 8th.
I would say on Fifth Street too, there's significant right of way that the city has by the creamery that would also probably service some good downtown parking as well.
Yeah, I know the EDA has talked about that in the past, so I think that would be worth discussing as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
And obviously, if we added those elements, you know, it wouldn't affect, that would be 100% city cost. So it really doesn't affect what we're talking about from an assessment standpoint. I guess, so what I'm hearing is really no disagreement or different opinions necessarily on the scope of the project as we've laid it out, but an interest in potentially lowering the accessible portion of the project. Do you have a sense for where, you know, how much you'd like to try to reduce those costs?
I don't right now, without knowing how much they've paid already on some of those
and I can
homeowners.
tell you, Mike, I did look up the 404 Fifth was one of the corner lots. Their assessment was $668 for the 2007 project. So they were in the hundreds, not thousands. Really, they were paying for half their side, and they were paying for street and curb. And again, you can just tell the kind of the efficiency of doing a large project like that with a decent density to spread the cost.
Right. How about others? Liz or Eric, any thoughts on the assessment?
Oh, and I'm sorry, I got to back up. That was their annual payment. Their assessment actually was $4,900. I'm sorry. The total assessment was $4,900.
Okay.
No, I agree. It seems like quite a bit of money for a few people, and there's something we can do to look at it. Kind of makes your couple copies a month for another project that people talked about, kind of puts that more in perspective as well.
Right.
You know, one possibility that Jeff has looked at, or I don't know that we have the numbers for it, but when you look at the water main piece of this, you know, that's you have a funding source for water improvements. If you were to look at paying for the water improvements separately and not assessing them, you can kind of see that, you know, that takes about, what is that, over $8,000 off of those assessments if the water was to be paid for out of the water fund and not assessed.
I don't recall in 2007, my memory is a little fuzzy, but I remember I paid for the curb and gutter and something else. And I know I paid for water and sewer hookup, but I don't remember the water main part.
Yeah, we replaced all the water, all the sewer, I'm looking at, we had a street assessment, a water main assessment, a sanitary sewer assessment that you would have had as part of that project. So this spreadsheet you're looking at should more or less be identical to what we did on the 2007.
That was
Maggie
back.
could pull that up. Maggie sent that out as an attachment this afternoon. Do you have it? You want to pull it up quick, Maggie, the 2007 one?
Yeah, yep, I can. Yeah, I agree with Dave. I agree with Dave. I think it, and Jeff, I think we should at least consider, like a feasibility of at least, looking at our balance and the health of our water and even maybe sewer accounts and seeing if it is feasible as an option at least. I'll pull up the thing and the other one in just a second.
Yeah, I'd agree, Maggie. I think you should start looking at that and seeing what we can do.
Just my gut feel for it, whatever that's worth, is that if we were to look at this from standpoint of what we could do to get the high end of the assessments closer to 20,000 and more kind of that middle of the road assessment around 15,000, that maybe feels more in line, accounting for inflation kind of thing, that feels a little bit more in line with what we did on the last project.
Right.
And again, if you took just the water main assessment there, that starts moving it in that direction, if the finances work to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Maggie should take a look at that and see what we can do.
Yeah, I think we need to figure out a way to lower it.
But generally speaking, the scope that's been laid out, at least initially here, you're comfortable with. If we can figure out, if we come back to you with a proposal that as to how to adjust the city share, and then work with Maggie and your finance people to kind of just make sure that you understand how that would affect the financing of the project.
Yeah, I'm aligned with it.
Yes, same here.
And then I think what we would do then is we would look, time kind of slips away from us here once we get to the holidays. So I think what we would end up doing is try to go through here, come back to you with a suggestion, but we'll probably be taking this up again in January then to get your final blessing on where we end up with this, and then look to schedule the improvement hearing and keep things going.
Can you see the 2007?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Dave, yeah, let's take a look at it. We'll see what Maggie can do, look at some of our other funds, and then start talking with, or have more discussions on parking if we want to add parking in there.
And then just kind of a reminder on this one too, we ran into this same kind of discussion or dilemma last time we looked at this. If you recall, some of you maybe anyway, we did a feasibility study on the east side roads, I don't know how many years ago now, but kind of ran into the same issue as the being able to apportion the cost gets a little tricky with just the way it's laid out, and then that was at that time where we did the overlays on those roads to buy some time, and we're kind of just right back to where we started with that discussion.
Are you talking about the west side and then Canary?
Oh, west side, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. We even considered not doing the curb and gutter out there, but on this particular street, I would agree with Dodge that it should be consistent with the rest. And then I don't mind if Lutheran High doesn't have the curb and gutter, since it does seem to be working there. But my only concern is if we start changing assessment percentages compared to what they were before, what's that saying to the people on the Fifth Street project? I mean, are they going to be I don't know. That would be like my only concern is that they'll be like, how did you decide this? You know, we got charged whatever percent and these guys didn't. Just something to consider, something that's running through my mind. But I think it should be lower too, but we'll just see.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think, I don't know, I think there could be a case made that they are pretty different projects, just as far as the number of properties that are involved and kind of the layout of them. And I think, like, you know, 2007, just, I think it was a different time too, as far as kind of, I don't know, I can't speak to it, but just maybe there was more of a, well, I guess we're kind of in a recession again, but I mean, I just think they are a little, I would say a little bit different, and I agree with like what you're saying, but I am also concerned too with the amount that some of these properties are looking to pay. I think
And I think it's a valid concern. I'm sorry, Thais.
Go. No, you're good.
Oh, so what I was going to say, I think that's absolutely a valid concern from the standpoint of, yeah, consistency is kind of the key to this process. I do think that there is an argument to be made on these streets, especially when you look at the west side of Highway 25, that these streets start having more of a community-wide benefit in their relationship to your business district, your parks, some of those things, that there is a little bit more of a public aspect to these streets that versus kind of the more neighborhood benefit that the last project provided. There is an argument to be made for a community-wide benefit to getting these streets taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the numbers we're looking at, we want to be similar to what homeowners paid on Ridge Road and 4th Street. So I understand that we would be going off of a different percentage, but I don't think homeowners necessarily would be upset because they're going to look at the end number and not the percent of which they paid of a project. It's just we had more people to cover the cost of the main stuff and everybody paid the same 100% of your water hookup and your sewer. So for me, I don't know if that's setting a precedence to other projects, because I think in our head, we kind of know what, 30,000 is a lot of money for some of these properties, where maybe if you're closer to 20, which were some of the projects in 2007, it's more of a homeowner would think is more equal.
It is 13 years later though, too, so it's going to cost more. I mean, that's logical assumption as well.
Right. But if we have a way to
and then you do have the ability to take a look at, I'm sorry, Nikki. Oh, I was going to say, remember too, then once we kind of get to this point, you have the ability to take a look at the term of the assessment as far as how far you would potentially allow that to extend into the future to pay it back.
Right. That's kind of what my question
was. To make sure that people can stay on top of it.
Right. Was that one a 10-year? 2007, was that a 10-year? That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. I'd hate to extend it much more than 10. Then if we go 15 or 20, I think people have the feel they'll never get rid of it. That they're going to be dragging that along for
that was
forever.
An option. So they had an option to pay it off. They didn't have to have it assessed. They could pay it. I think they could have made up their assessment a shorter amount of years too, right? It was up to the homeowner.
I think they can pay down, right, Dave? They can pay down as much as they want, or all of it, and then their assessment would be lower. I think there's a period of time they can do that before assessment rolls. They can also pay it. I think there's a date every year that they can pay it off as well. And then we just notify to take them off, or we just, essentially take them off the assessment roll if they pay off the balance.
Right. I remember that it was
Right.
really flexible that way. And I'm not real opposed to doing like a 15-year. It's like the life of what most homes, of course, it's a lot higher. I mean, I get, it's not a good comparison. But 15 years isn't that bad of a deal, I don't think. Just to kind of make it less per year. Either way, this is going to cost them some money, and it's going to be more expensive than what we did in 2007, just because it's that many years later.
Right.
Needs to be done though.
Well, we'll, you have one meeting in December? Is that correct?
We do have the ability to do a second meeting too if we have to though, so.
Well, why don't, I guess, I'll let Jeff chime in here in a minute, but I think I kind of have an idea of where we're trying to get to with this. So if you are comfortable with us taking that, working with Maggie to make sure that we kind of understand how the financing would be impacted if we make some adjustments to this, we'll try to turn this around and get it back in front of you as soon as we can, just to make sure that we keep the process moving. But I think I have a understanding of where we're trying to get to. Jeff, any questions or thoughts you have?
Just a couple things to add. Typically what happens at the end of the project when we have the assessment hearing and you adopt the final assessments, the property owners will get a bill for the entire amount, whatever it is. And it's their option. They have 30 days to pay whatever they want. They don't have to pay anything. They can pay all of it, some of it. Whatever they do not pay then gets put onto their taxes. And the key is once it's put onto the taxes and the county has it, if they try to go in the next day and pay it off, they can pay it off, but they're going to be paying off interest for the entire year. So you got that 30-day window to make payment with no interest, but once it goes to the county, then the interest automatically gets put on it for the year. If that clarifies anything. And then everybody brought up very good points on all the issues, but we do have to remember that we can only assess what the property's benefiting. So all the property owners will have a right to appeal their assessment. And if they do that, then we have to prove the benefit. So if we're going to assess somebody $33,000, we're going to have to prove that their property is receiving that type of benefit. So that's something just to remember.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anything else? Any other questions for either Jeff or Dave?
I just want to make sure that when we go to public hearing and that homeowners know we're talking about it, that I want to make sure that they, if we're not meeting in person, have access to be able to comment or be part of the conversation. So that would be my only concern is.
Yeah, and I think we can kind of formulate those next steps there too, and we can do this in a couple ways. We could kind of, I mean, we're gonna have the formal improvement hearing where everybody has a chance to give you their feedback, but we could potentially schedule something before that also that's a little bit more of an informal presentation of the information to a little bit more of an opportunity to ask questions, learn about the project. That potentially kind of takes care of some of the communication, and by the time you get to the improvement hearing, some people might feel comfortable that they have everything they need.
Yeah, I'd like to see some sort of open house, be it virtual or be, you know, whatever we need to do, but and really get all these property owners involved. This shouldn't be a surprise
And
to
they-
anyone as we move down the road.
That they're able to access it virtually, because I don't know these homeowners, but maybe they're not capable or know how to do something like that. So I just want to make sure that they have a voice as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, we can, we'll figure something out, but at a minimum, you know, we can provide them information about the project along with the contact person to just call and ask questions. You know, we can handle some of that one-on-one if we need to also.
And we should be able to accommodate small groups in the community center, Nikki, to your point, for people who don't have access, the ability to virtual. We'll make it work. All right, anything else for Dave or Jeff? All right, perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yep. You also. All right, Maggie, 2021 budget, general fund.
All right, I just wanted to bring this to you one last time before we do our, have it approved or brought to you at the December 14th meeting. So we do have truth and taxation on December 14th, and then if we don't have any significant changes, I will be asking the city council to pass the final levy that evening as well. I'm not going to go through all of this because I know you've been through it many times, but I just want to show you, based on your last feedback, I was able to get this down to 48.9. I'm going to tell you how I did that. So the tax levy only changed 10,000. So I did talk with Ellers. We don't know what the final fire station bid is yet, and then what that construction bond will be next year. But he did say I could at least put it down 75,000 or 10,000. I'm sorry. Also, I did reduce a little bit, about 10,000 from general government. But the most significant part, and I will hold on, get to it, is in our capital levy. So I just have to explain kind of my thought process here. So I did reduce the streets about 35,000 right now. How we're going to make that up is, yes, we are reducing our levy a little bit, or our levy pretty significantly right now. All right, how do I explain that? So at the end of the year, when we do our final assessment of our budget, anything that is left unspent out of the budget is essentially, according to our policy, put into split between our capital funds. So any excess funds in our budget go towards our capital funds. So with our ability to use some of the COVID money to kind of give feedback into this year's budget, we're going to have even more of an excess at the end of the year, if that makes sense. And so what I'm planning on doing is taking that excess and replenishing where we are reducing here. Does that make sense? So for example, we were able to use our COVID money to essentially kind of give back to our police fund, or our police line item, 70,000. And so with that, I'm expecting us to have an excess of 70,000 or more. And so anything that's in excess, again, in our budget, we will put back into our capital levies so that we're able to then kind of reduce for our levy for 2021. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that is, I think that is, I think we'll be okay then. I think we'll be able to still have good or healthy levy or capital accounts. But then we can also get our tax rate lower than it was last year. I think that'll benefit the community. It's, I think, 0.45% lower than last year. So again, I think that will be, I think that'll be a good place for, that's what I'm gonna propose in the December meeting. And then I think also at that meeting, we're going to, again, have to discuss the enterprise funds and our rates for water and sewer. So before I go on to the enterprise funds, do you have any questions on kind of what I'm proposing for the December meeting?
No, not for me. Any questions?
Nope, just want to say thank you for getting that lowered.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think
Yep,
it
I
makes
agree.
sense. So
Great. Okay, we can move on then.
enterprise, I haven't really changed anything significantly since we talked about it last time. Let's see. Again, water fund is projected to be about 575,000 or 576,000. That is a decrease from 92,000. That's because we don't have a lot of projects. A lot of our projects were this year. And then our debt payment also is reduced a little bit too. So again, expenditures about 576. Our projected revenues are about 777. And then anything left over is put into put in the reserve fund for future projects and maintenance. And then for sewer, our expected expenditures are about 909,000. Revenues 1,020,000. So those funds, we project there will be enough revenue to cover our expenditures and then a little more to be put into our funds if there's any excess. So with that, I'm again open for any comments. I do have kind of where changes were made, and then also I also have comparisons from last year. So that is what I would be proposing as well.
Any questions for Maggie on those enterprise funds? Or clarifications?
No.
All right. Well, thank you, Maggie.
Yep.
All right. No other questions? With that, then we will adjourn.
Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody.
You too.
Thank you. Yeah, you also.
You too.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
I have to figure out how to stop recording.